Hi, welcome to Up Your Nerd Cred. Did you used to know everything that was happening in the Marvel and DC universes? Did finding out that some superheroes are from Marvel and some are from DC blow your mind? Has keeping track of everything that's happening there and then realizing that we're only talking about the comics universes, not the cinematic ones, and that all these different universes with all their own multiversal crises have gotten a little bit out of hand? Well, don't worry. Up Your Nerd Cred is here to talk about the gods cosplaying as men, the men cosplaying as gods, and how much the cinematic universes are really leaving out. At the end of each episode, you'll hopefully know a little bit more than you did and can up your nerd cred. I'm your casual nerd host, CiCi. It's taken a couple of months, but my dog has finally started sleeping in the dog bed that she picked out. By the way, she picked out the bed whenever we were at the pet store, okay? She's finally started sleeping in that as opposed to sleeping in random spots all over my room. It is really exciting because it means that I'm slightly less likely to accidentally step on her because she decided to pick a new spot in the middle of the night, okay? She looks at me and I feel like I've kicked Mehmet or something, okay? I don't understand, but I'm super excited about her being in her bed because this means that I'm not going to accidentally kick her and that means everybody's happy, right? Right. So, the important part of what's happening with this episode, though, is that I am kind of a bookend to this episode, right? Our main content is going to be the part 2 of our conversation with our Solving for X guests. Just because we are clarifying the format doesn't mean that we're going to, skip out on the format altogether, right? Of course, right. So, podcast listeners, what are we nerding out about this week? As a reminder, you can nerd out about all kinds of things, right? It doesn't just have to be heroes and villains. So I did promise an ex of mine that I would stop calling it sports ball, but that promise ended when we broke up, right? Cool. So there's a whole sports ball game that's happening this weekend. I will not be paying attention to it, but I hope that you guys have fun with parties and things like that. That bastard's obsession with eating babies and then the jokes about hanging out with Jared at the end of Austin Powers 3. It was already a whole dark jokes, and I feel like it's actually gotten way darker if you're paying attention to the Epstein files. I will also note completely separately that between Dr. Manhattan and Wonder Man, I feel like, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is possibly trying to tell us something. I'm not sure what. But what I will say, completely separate from that, happy Black History Month. All right. It is February. I am wearing, today, I'm wearing my Powerpuff Girls of Wakanda. Okay. So we've got Okoye, we've got Shuri, we've got Nakia. All right. So we are repping our Black women today. Okay. So I'm very, very excited about that. Now, is that technically what I'm nerding out about? No, what I'm nerding out about is the fact that I am going to be getting all of the books and everything to do the home renovation things, okay? Looking into having some extra time soon, and my house is really, really not designed with a toddler in mind. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do things like try to paint the trim and maybe make the walls not that whole weird millennial grayish or whatever, but something so that I can hide the colors, because even trying to scrub off the ultra washable things have not proven well for me. But the important part, though, is that I can listen to Heated Rivalry with the audiobook version, so I can stop being the only one who doesn't know what's happening with Shane and Ilya, okay? I'm sure that I'm going to get a chance at some point in the future to watch it, but, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break for me to double check that it is in fact available at the library as I'm expecting, and then we're going to take you to our progress, thrilling conclusion. But one, double check that your library has the Libby kind of like thing where you can listen to audiobooks and things like that. And also go to your library, even if you don't have them, and just get the books in general. Okay. Support your local libraries. Michael Threets is not out here making sure that Reading Rainbow is thriving so that we can just sit here and pretend that libraries don't exist. Okay. Okay. We'll be right back to Up Your Nerd Cred.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, podcast listeners. I know you've been waiting all week for the thrilling conclusion of our conversation with Solving for X, so don't worry, I'm not going to make you wait very long. I just want to give you a quick catch up on what we were talking about. We were having a conversation with the Solving for X gang about the evolution of the Disney prince and how we've gone from the voiceless kind of deus ex machina of Prince Charming and Florian, Snow White, and Cinderella's princes, to the true partners that Flynn Rider and Prince Naveen are to Rapunzel and Princess Tiana. So we will take you now to the thrilling conclusion in progress, and we'll be back to tell you about what's happening this week on your nerdy calendars. Welcome back to our thrilling conclusion. So it's worth making a note that as the girl here and the girl who was always really trying to make sure that everything gets just a little bit gayer, which I feel like Heated Rivalry can figure out how to be gayer. I don't know how, I haven't seen it yet, but I feel like we can figure this out. Gentlemen, we have Disney princes. How can we make them gayer?
Well, who'd like to begin? I think you had some opinions on Kristoff.
I don't know how we can make Kristoff gayer. I mean, honestly, I would, because you wouldn't make a joke about a man's shoe size if you don't have a big dick. So, honestly, I just think that Kristoff is Disney's way of being like, you know what, guys, we effed it up in the past quite a bit. Like, let's actually give you someone that's going to support you, like knows your values, knows your worth, and wants to be with you and just be a better person with you. And I feel like that's what Kristoff is. And that was Disney's way of being like, ladies, men, this is what you guys should like. Like, this is what you should like. Like, not Hans. No, bad Hans. Stop going for the asshole. Go for the nice guy. So it was kind of like Disney's way of saying that a little bit. So that's why I feel like Kristoff is pretty awesome. He's not one of my favorite. He's like a close third, but yeah, that's what it is.
The only clarification that I'm going to make is that Kristoff is a guy who is nice. He is not a nice guy. Hans is a nice guy. I feel like there's a lot of, like, if you spend any time in
I'm
r/nice
a nice
guys,
guy archetype, as
exactly.
opposed to
There are
legit
guys
good
who are
person.
nice, who are Kristoff, and then there are Hans who are nice guys. So
Unless
that's
the
the
troll
only.
theory is true.
I mean, we can go into the troll theory if you want.
Well, let's move on from the troll theory for now.
Okay.
Kevin, any particular thoughts on characters or princes or how to make them gayer?
How to make them gayer. Well, I'm going to go with my Li Shang guy because he is the Bicon of the Disney movie. He wanted Mulan as a boy. He wanted Mulan as a girl. He wanted her all the ways. And he was really subverting the gender norms. He put on the dress when they were climbing the wall. He did the sash and everything.
Wait, Shang didn't actually put on a dress. The other
So
three
he
did.
Sorry, the other did. But he took the sash. He took the stuff. So
He didn't judge anybody for doing that.
He came late to the party. That's why. He came late to the party. He didn't have time to get dolled
He didn't
up.
have time, yes. But
Yeah.
Also, can we just say how, like, he had that moment of, like, disappointment when he realized that Ping was actually a woman? There was, like, a brief moment where he was just like, wait.
Yeah.
And he was still into her.
I thought you were right.
But he was still kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
it just means that, like, you know, if there's a dude involved, he's probably a bottom. And if there's a lady involved, he's probably going to be kind of stuck as a top. And
Or
I
he could still
imagine
be a
that gets
bottom. I
annoying.
mean, I'm pretty sure
could
those
still
kinds
be
of
a
toys
bottom,
existed
but
back then.
You know what? Imperial China probably had all kinds of things. Anyway, please talk about Li Shang and how he was as a partner. Because
I thought he's definitely has his, like, anger issues, but he always at his heart, he's, you know, has a softer side and knows when he's done wrong, and he always wants to make amends for that. So I think he's a really good guy too.
Yeah, and I don't think his anger issues were actually, like, true anger. I think it was just him
It's
trying
soldier mode.
so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to appease his
It's so
father.
many-
He wanted to.
Yeah,
Hard
like his
about
daddy
what?
was
Expectations
too
on him.
important for him to like not have a complex.
What was hard, Align?
Well, we know it was hard around Ping, and then later Mulan.
And he
See,
looks
now-
good shirtless. We know this. So
And he has one of the most
We were
iconic
just talking
songs
about
of
him
Disney.
and daddies, but I guess that's a whole other.
I mean, let's be honest. I'll Make a Man Out of You is one of the great queer Disney songs.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Shawnee, what about you?
Hang on. Sorry, I'm like still distracted by I'll Make a Man Out of You. Give me a second. I'm having like a full like I'm not being quite the straight girls at the gay bar, but I'm just having them anyway. Please continue. Yes, Shawnee, please go ahead.
So my man is Aladdin, and this guy is already like a gay icon. He's like got the vest, so we know he looks good without a shirt. The only thing that's gonna make him gayer, I mean, he plays with his monkey in public, but like give him booty
and he
shorts.
rubs lamps. Don't forget he rubs
And
lamps.
he rubs lamps. Give the man some booty shorts. We got him gay.
Yeah, he
I
likes
mean,
to rub that phallic symbol.
Yes.
He rubs the thing, and then like a dude pops out who wants to do whatever he wants.
Not just a dude, a muscle dude. Like a big,
A muscle
beefy
dude.
daddy comes flying out.
AKA Grinder.
He doesn't always have to be a muscle daddy, though. Sometimes he can like sit there and he can be whatever. He can be whatever you want, whatever you need.
What do you need? Poof, what do you need?
It's not that
Thinking
calling
about
him a
the,
poof.
make. The genie ended up in a heterosexual relationship because I'm like, really?
That was so weird.
Really?
That was Disney Channel realness.
It really
Yeah.
was.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, the fact that Robin Williams was willing to sit there and like, deal with Disney enough to come back for Aladdin 3 when he's just like, I will fight you about Aladdin 2. Like I really appreciated that part.
Well, they screwed him over on Aladdin 1.
I mean, he didn't really want to get like all of the attention and everything like that. And then they're just like, excellent. What if we
Celebrity
make sure to
casting,
put all
celebrity
the attention on
casting.
you? Yeah.
Well, also the reason that he only agreed to it was like there's no holds barred. Like I get to imitate anyone I want to for this then. So like that's how they had to go back to like all these actors to like get their permission to actually do it, because that was when the rights were actually being established for like getting people's face and stuff like that on TV and stuff like that to resemble.
Yeah. Which is really interesting because I'm not gonna lie, in like what 1992, I think Aladdin came out. Hey, I wasn't familiar with Rodney Dangerfield like that because I was a 7-year-old. So where he's talking about like I can't believe it, I'm losing to a rug. I didn't figure that out as like a reference until much later.
Well, I mean, they were
And
still
you
making
know what?
references to him in like Tiny Toons.
But you also have to remember, though, that just like you take your kid or you will take your child to see movies and stuff like that if you haven't already. And there's going to be jokes in kid movies that are going to relate to adults, though, more than children. So that's, I think, why those things were placed in there. It was Disney trying to be a little smart to be like, we'll keep the adults a little entertained during this.
Last week
Fair
we
enough.
were talking about Animaniacs and the whole remember the fingerprints like look for prints and then
talking-
fingerprints one?
You're talking to an
I found prints.
Animaniacs
No,
man over here.
fingerprints.
Heaven.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like it makes sense that they're putting stuff in there for the adults and everything.
Bring up one prince that we didn't even like name drop.
Who?
Prince Adam, aka the Beast.
Okay, but like that's
He's a prince.
because he is a
And he-
prince. He is a prince, but Belle seemed like slightly disappointed that
No,
she ended up
That's
with
one
that
thing I was going
dude.
to talk about.
I think
The fact
all
that
of us were.
Everybody that is like, really, that's it? Go back, push the back button.
Look,
Belle's just like, somebody find me a sorceress right now.
also, didn't that dude end up as like blonde or something? Like why was he Beast was like a very like brunette kind of guy.
Yeah. But it was kind of an interesting thing with him because he's another one of those characters that starts off as a colossal jerk, but you legit believe his story arc of becoming a better person by the end. And people were like, oh, it's about Stockholm Syndrome. No, Belle is not.
That's because along the
remotely in
way,
mind.
you see how much he's dealing with these choices. He doesn't make a bad choice, and then you see in his eyes that he feels bad about it, and so it's constantly reminding you that he's changing.
Yeah, he
Would
he
you say
legit
that he
has
saw
regrets.
something that wasn't there before?
But also, it's like, one thing I just love
My
is the fact
paw.
that, and that's your cue, Kevin.
Fingerprints.
I will say on the thing with Beauty and the Beast and everything, there is something there that wasn't there before, but also wasn't he turned to the Beast when he was like in his tweens?
He was
Like
he was like 10. He was like 10 or 11.
yeah. So like on one hand, I see that fairy tales are Disney's continuing like the fairy tale thing of just like, oh my God, is Disney working with the Heritage Foundation? Is that what they're talking about? Like how like all these girls need to get married like between 16 and 20? Like, is that why they're trying to marry everybody off? Is that anyway? But no, but like, Prince Adam was like honestly, the age that he was, he probably like his parents probably told him not to be opening the doors for strangers anyway.
Well, I'm still wondering where his parents were in all this.
Where were
It's
they?
like
He was living
Yeah,
by
what-
himself in the castle with all the servants.
being
Okay.
raised by the servants. But it's like,
Mhm.
you gotta love the fact that it's like he became a better person because Belle took no shit from him. So he learned from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like when she got an opportunity, she pieced the fuck out. She's like, nope, I am not dealing with this.
And also when they sat there and had their whole back and forth, and he's just like, and she's just like, well, you shouldn't have lost your temper. And he's just like, to say to this.
No.
What-
'Cause I did lose my temper, and it is kind of a problem that I have.
And what about you, CiCi? Any particular princes that really stood up for you, or ones that we didn't talk about?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I am Prince Naveen, okay? I am Teen Naveen. Now, I will say that Eric definitely made me feel some feelings when I was younger, but then when Tuxedo Mask came along and he was pretty much doing all of the things that Eric was, and by that I mean like being a very handsome man who has like the dark hair and like the light eyes, and is just like I am crazy about anyway, I have the Sailor Moon tattoo, guys, okay? I love Sailor Moon. I love Tuxedo Mask. Eric was my guy. But honestly, Naveen at this point is kind of it. And not just because Tiana is my princess, but because I really think that he actually sat there and, like, as a character, I think that he actually really grew the most. Like, because he started out so selfish. He felt perfectly comfortable with the fact that there were servants to brush his teeth, right? Even if he's, like, a little bit annoyed about it at the end, he's just, like, he's comfortable with having servants to brush his teeth, and yet, at the end of Princess and the Frog, beyond the fact that, like, they're all, like, threatening, like, the people to make sure that they, like, actually, like, sell the property to Tiana and everything, he's, like, ready with, like, tools in hand to sit there and, like, help her build her dream. Like, he's gone from somebody who can't even, like, make sure that, like, he's getting, like, all of his molars taken care of to I'm gonna make sure that all of these things are lined up the way that you want because that's something that, like, it is important to you and therefore it is important to me.
I still wonder how many times he hurt himself during the construction process.
Probably a lot. Okay, he didn't really know how to brush his teeth. The fact that he learned how to mince onions, which is something that my kid probably can do, and he's not quite 3.
Okay.
Okay, to be fair, it's not his fault. He was raised a prince. He had people to take care of that for him, like if, a baby doesn't actually ever have to manage to figure out how to use the potty on their own. They're just gonna sit there and pee in the diaper. I'm so sorry. There's been a lot of potty training in the last few months for like my family. I'm pretty sure that you had like some further conversations about princes that you wanted to do though, like talking
Well,
about our
wasn't there something you were going to say
things.
about? You were saying something earlier.
No, I said that
All
Prince
right.
Naveen was hot.
All right. Well, then, I guess we'll move on to the ranking of our princes. I thought it'd be a fun little thing to have each of our guests select one Disney prince that they absolutely love, and we're going to rank them on a level of 1 to 5 for hotness, their usefulness to the story, and how out of league they were with their love interest. So, everyone understand the rules of the game?
Yes, sir.
Are we all ready?
All right.
All right. So, AM, since you invented the game, I'm going to ask you to go first.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with. Funny enough, I'm gonna go with Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of his human form, he ranks in hotness a solid 1. It's like, no, nothing there. But as a beast, oddly enough, I get why people were more into into that. So I'm gonna give him like about a 4 rating there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
He loses 1 point just because beast. So you're just like, how's all that gonna work?
Yeah.
Usefulness
He
of
was
the
a
story.
chimera too.
I mean, for usefulness of the story, that's a 5 because the story hinges on his plot with Belle. his relationship, his developing as a person, his growth as a character.
I think that makes
How
sense.
out of his league he was with his love interest. I'm gonna say his love interest. So in this case, 1 being not out of his league and 5 being out of his league, I'm gonna say probably a 4 as well.
I
Bell was out of
greatly
his league.
disagree. I
Huh?
greatly disagree. I greatly
You don't
disagree.
think
You
that
know why?
Bell was out of his league?
That man had a library so big, it made Belle immediately sploosh.
Yeah, but I'm talking
There
about like as a person, how much
Right,
of
and I'm saying that, like, he collected all them books before Belle came there. I'm just saying, like,
I don't think he collected them. I think those were like his parents' books.
okay, but he made sure that they didn't get lost or
He didn't
damaged.
know how to read.
That is not his okay, but he made sure he knew how important books were.
No, he didn't. I bet he never even went into that room before that point.
But as soon as Belle was just like, "I like to read books," what was he doing? Sitting there being like, "Read to me, baby girl."
All right, Shawnee, you're next.
So I'm gonna go with my man Aladdin. I think he is a 5 on the hot scale because everything I mentioned earlier. Plus, interesting fact, those pants are holding his balls. That's why they're rounded at the bottom because those are his balls.
I've seen the drawings of that.
I know you did.
I think that's a medical condition at this point, though.
That's
I
called
also
Didn't they
cosplayed
have that on
Aladdin.
South Park
friend.
where everyone's
Yeah.
just like bouncing around on their balls? I'm just saying, like, if
In
we're
the
doing
original
that with
story, that's the
Aladdin,
wish that went wrong.
Yeah. Usefulness to a story. He's a 5. It's called Aladdin. It's about him. And I think compatibility, or does he deserve Jasmine? Definitely. One's like the best, right? For this one, it's like opposite.
no,
One
sweetie
is
pie,
where
no.
he's kind of pointless to the story, and then for league.
For how
But-
out of their league.
Yeah.
Out of their league.
So 1 is at the same compatibility.
They are
5 is she is out of his league.
Okay, so they are a 1 because she needs somebody different than the usual prince, and he is
That
definitely
man is
somebody different who knows.
homeless.
But he knows
That
the
is a
world. He teaches her
hobosexual.
things.
That is a
No.
hobosexual.
The hobosexual has an amazing apartment on the top of Agrabah where you get to see the palace. Don't think he does.
I mean, we don't know how big it is into those
I've
baggy
heard.
pants.
I've heard, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
I've
she's sitting
seen.
the way that Jasmine's willing to risk it all for this, it has to be amazing.
Is she willing to rub his lamp the way he rubs Genie's?
I'm just saying, like, the way that she be acting, I hope that it's legendary. Otherwise, what are we talking about? Like leg and dairy? Like, I don't need Jujubee to sit there and roast Aladdin like that. That's crazy.
Or you just gained 2 points in my book. That's all I'm gonna say.
Listen, I would like to point out the fact I sit there and sent this man to DragCon to make sure that he brings me a Pandora box flask. And also I send the picture of like the Pandora box thinks I'm fabulous shirt, all that jazz, because like I'm just busy being starstruck. Yeah, Anne's been to Pandora Box's house.
She's been salty about this ever since she found out that I'm friends with Pandora Box.
You were so cool.
So
How do you
moving
no,
along,
it's
Kevin,
most of the part where he complains
who's
about
your
how he's like
prince?
not cool. Please tell me about your prince, Kevin, because otherwise I'm gonna sit there and harass
She's
the
gonna
line about how cool
I'm gonna
he is.
say-
Anything bad.
Flynn Rider.
Ooh,
I think I always like bonded with him. Well, I did not that way, but you know what I mean.
You would have liked to.
Right. The hotness, he's a 5 because he's one of the characters that was actually pulled by women. The animators they pulled people in the studios and kind of amalgamated the features that they found attractive, and they kind of reworked him until he was up to par. So he has to be a 5 for that. Usefulness to the story, I would say probably 4. I mean, he was the whole reason she escaped the tower. So I mean, they wouldn't really have a story besides that. I mean, maybe she could have found another way, like digging a hole or something if she wanted to. But
she got out of the tower by her. Like, did he get her out of the tower, or did he just make sure that like she didn't fall to like some really weird actual
He
weirdos?
kind of just
like, when
convinced
she
her
came
to
out?
leave the
to
tower.
do it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's like all like broken up about it. Like, I love this, but I hate this. I don't know. Best day ever.
Yeah. Her bipolar episode there.
There are so many men who are just like, blah, like, this is why women don't know what they're thinking about. And it's just like, no, we just have so many things that we're just like, I'm super excited about doing this thing for myself. Everybody is going to think that I am a terrible human being, but I'm super excited to like go out and like actually live a life for myself. But I am not allowed to go and do this kind of thing. My job is to sit there and cook and clean and make sure that everything is together. It is a whole lot involved with stuff. So like, him sitting there being like, yeah, go do stuff for yourself. I'm gonna point out that that is a very important Naveen thing, or I'm sorry, a
Flynn
Flynn
thing.
Rider thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how
then
out of
how-
league was he to Rapunzel?
See, I feel like he's a little bit prettier than her because she's still, even though she's a grown woman, she still has like this child. She's got like a chibi kind of childlike face to me. She's still a little. She's got some growing to do. Although with her, when she's got her brown hair, she does mature. That's a cute look on her. So
That's because
I think
blonde hair is associated with children and brunette hair is associated with
maybe.
adults. But also, I think that Flynn was low key out of her league.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And by low key,
Yeah.
I mean like a lot. Like that man
Yeah.
was very much out of her league. And the fact that she was mostly able to, like, her being willing to go do adventurous stuff with him is very exciting. And the reason that she was able to, like, go and have as much fun as she was. But, like, that man was out of her league. The fact that, like, it is only because she's able to sit there and be like, I am down to do this thing, even though I am absolutely just, like, pissing my pants scared about it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
This
I'm
was a
magic. Does
legit
that count?
relationship that was built. This was a legit
but no,
relationship built on them bonding over time.
no, but, like, think about it, like, if she spent her entire life with Mother Gothel and then she goes out into, like, whatever that bar was whenever they had, like, the whole I Have
Snuggly
a Dream
duckling.
song,
Yeah.
Yep.
like, there are very few instances in which a woman is going to enter a room that is full of men, and she is going to feel 100% comfortable, and I would like to note the fact that, Flynn made sure that, Rapunzel felt good enough to be able to wander into this place.
Do you think Rapunzel
So
ever covered her drink at any point in that bar?
She wasn't smart enough to do that.
she
No,
was
she's
not
Mother-
smart enough
She
to do
has
that.
no
But I feel
experience.
like none of the
Gothel did
guys
not
there
do
actually
that.
would have done anything to her. I kind of feel like it was a gay bar.
I cannot
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
it's probably that, but I cannot express how much. So, like, I am so thankful that Rapunzel found somebody who was actually a good guy, just, like, off the rip, because she could have really, really had a bad time.
The Snuggly Duck is actually a gay bar in Boys Town in Chicago.
I was like, really?
Love it.
Yeah,
Okay, Ryan, your turn.
All right, so before I say mine, I just want to ask, did you guys enjoy the movie Aladdin? Did you guys love that when you
Yeah.
were younger? Like,
Some of it
love
was
it?
Yeah,
so
love it.
good.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sean, Kevin, you guys enjoyed it?
of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then there's no reason that you shouldn't like my prince because he's a freaking Hercules. Because that is basically Aladdin told in the different perspective. He is basically Jasmine, if you think about it. The person that he's going to be hooked up with is someone that is of a lesser class, I guess you could say, because she's not a god. So, and then at the end, what does Hercules do? He's like, nope, I'm not gonna be a god. I want to be with Meg. You gave Meg, and then don't they both become demigods or something like at the end or something
No,
basically?
he completely gives up his full godhood because he's interested in her. But also, I would like to point out the fact that this
Yeah,
man was
he
raised
retained.
as human. Going to Olympus is like, hey, let me just go ahead and ditch not only the entirety of like the life that I've known, but the whole area that I've grown up in.
Yeah, no, he retains his demigod abilities. She remains mortal,
Yes.
and probably eventually he will ascend to godhood once Meg passes away or something like that.
Yeah, but
But what's your rankings?
5 on hotness, like or I'm sorry,
They built him
overall
all
5
beefy
for
and
me.
dead.
Yeah. But I feel like overall 5, I think he's a great guy. I understand what
is
you're
it
saying with that.
because this man is in fact Hercules, and if we tried to cast anybody who is not absolutely gorgeous for the role, we would like everybody would riot?
I think that he has to have two things. Like he has to have the look, but he also has to have the voice. Like I don't want to have someone that can't do all that and can't perform. You know what I mean?
Where you need someone to go the distance.
Yeah, I need, and I hate to say this, but I need kind of the Disney Channel star. like a triple threat. Like you can't be a Disney Channel star if you're not an actor, if you're not a singer, if you're not a dancer. Like those are the three things you need to be like a
Hercules
Disney Channel
dances?
star.
I
On
mean,
Broadway.
did you like Ryan Gosling played young Hercules, and then later he was in
He
La La
did.
Land. So I'm
There
imagining
you
that
go.
Hercules at this
There you
point
go.
can dance, right?
Yeah,
That
but
would
he
work.
might be too old for the role.
Yeah, I
No,
get
no,
that.
no, no. I would not want him to play it right now. Like honestly, like I know this sounds horrible, but Austin Butler was actually a Disney Channel star. He can sing, he can act, he can dance. Like I think that would
Austin
actually be
Butler gets too stuck in his roles, though. Didn't he keep Elvis' voice for like a good 6 months after filming Wrapped?
is as long as he can give us a good Hercules, I don't care who he is 6 months after he raps. Yeah. Like
You know what? That's
I'm
fair.
not living with him. Yeah.
He's not in my house.
Exactly.
And the usefulness of his story?
Even though it's not accurate by any means, I enjoyed this story. I did. I love how they actually like kind of like for myself, I think of it as how like when I saw it, I was like, oh, like I actually really enjoy this. Like I then researched like who Hermes was, who Apollo was, who all these people were to actually like find out their stories. And I think that's what this story was a gateway for kids to actually start to learn about mythology.
That
Just like how
animated
many
series is
times
really good, by the way.
No, then they found out about like all like how Zeus was stupping. No, he wasn't even stupping everybody. He was just
No, who's fucking?
like
Yeah.
no, he
I'm
wasn't
gonna be
even
an
fucking.
eagle. I'm gonna
That
be a
man was
golden
such-
shower.
That
I'm
man,
gonna be a
I am
duck.
like that man. He was so many things in every like. Look, there are furries and there are like bestiality folks, and like this man is sitting like, or this guy is out here doing a lot of
You
just like
suddenly have to wonder
weird
how many
animal
Grecian women
shape-shifting.
were hooking up with animals because they weren't sure if it was Zeus or not.
Minotaur.
Where do you think the Minotaur came from? Yeah.
Exactly.
And how would
I
you-
mean, it was because Poseidon got mad, I think.
And
But
Rye,
yeah.
how would you rank him with Meg? Were they in the same league, or were one of them outside of the other one's league?
I was going to say, I don't know how I would gauge this with how we've been judging before because my prince was 10 times outside of Meg's league, to be honest, in my opinion.
As a god, I am going, or demigod, and then god, and then like choosing to return a demigod status. I'm gonna agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Hercules was basically Superman. It was Disney's version of Superman. So I kind of feel
I
like
thought about that way. Good
Meg
idea.
being the equivalent of Lois Lane is right in his league because he needs somebody who will talk to him straight to his face, call him out on his stuff, and
I think this is more of a Mary Magdalene and Jesus kind of situation.
they intentionally wrote Hercules to be a combination of Rocky and Superman.
Okay, that is fair, but are we also sitting there looking at Adrian to tell Rocky that he's being an idiot and to cuss him out?
She should have.
I don't think your Pinto likes me very much.
I love that.
And you know what? The fact that Meg had to actually sit there and put forth some effort and be like, yo, Pegasus, I know that we have had struggles in the past, but I got to make sure that this man don't die. Meg actually, like, the two of them did have an active, real relationship. I will say that because, like, the fact that both of them were willing to sacrifice for each other, that is, like, the kind of relationship that you didn't really see a lot of in, like, early Disney. Like, and, Shang, we also lost him for a bit at the beginning of Mulan too, but he sacrificed himself, even if it wasn't, like, an active, like, death sacrifice, but Shang sacrificed himself to make sure that Mulan was able to stay on like the rope bridge after like the Huns had chopped it up. And, the men in Disney movies are stepping up and being like good men in ways that a lot of these like red pill dudes are just like, how dare I have to be involved with this kind of thing?
All right,
Being
Kira,
nice.
now it's time for your ranking. Choose your prince, choose their hotness, usefulness, and whether they were out of their league of their love interest.
All right. I will look. Prince Naveen, that man could melt. Some of it was because he was in New Orleans, but that man could melt butter like in the mouth or whatever. That man was hot. All right. Like he's got like, he's got like the accent, which, already is interesting because, you've got like her Louisiana, like Southern accent versus his Maldonian accents. The two of them are just gonna sit there and accent at each other and just like be like, super like, I know that they'd be sitting there having like accent offs about stuff all the time. So yeah, he's incredibly hot. Oh my God. I mean, like Charlotte was trying to smash too.
And in terms of his usefulness,
In terms of his usefulness, I'm gonna say that he was about a 2.5 to a 3. Like,
Oh,
there's a lot of stuff that Tiana was doing on her own that he kind of came and impeded a lot of what she was working on. Like, she already had the money for the most part for her mill, and like over Mardi Gras weekend, Naveen was there and he grew with Tiana and things like that. It was Louis who actually helped Tiana convince them dudes to go ahead and, like, honor, like, the agreement that they'd already done. Like, Naveen was there, but I think that Louis the crocodile was the one who actually, like, did it, right? Yeah, he's willing to grow and be a better person and, like, pick up a hammer and everything like that. But my toddler can also, like, pick up a rag and try to clean up after himself. He will sit there and be like, clean up, everybody, everywhere." My toddler is 2.5. If Prince Naveen is just, like, finally growing up at a point where he's, like, able to hang out with Tiana,
and how
he
out
is
of league was he with Tiana? Speaking of which,
that man. Oh, I know that Tiana is supposed to be, like, the pleb, the peasant or whatever else, but that girl was way out of his league. He did not deserve her. He honestly low-key deserved Charlotte, but, I'm so glad he ended
I
up
think
with
that's kind of
Tiana
mean to
because he ended up
Charlotte.
as the
I feel
That
like
is not mean to original Naveen and original Charlotte would have had a pretty solid relationship, but Naveen, who actually was forced to grow up and do something with himself, he and Tiana worked better after that fact. But beforehand, when both he and when the two of them were shallow, this is like before this. If Fiero never met Elphaba, he and Galinda would have been a great couple.
All
I
right.
think that's
Well,
that
thank you
kind
for
of
the
vibe.
ratings, everyone. I think that was a fun little addition. So, anything else we want to go over?
Any final thoughts? Any final princes that, like any other princes that we want to bring up? We could sit there and talk about how, Simba decided that he wanted to ditch the entirety of his pride because his uncle was being weird. And we can talk about how Kovu was trying to ditch the entirety of his pride because technically his daddy was weird, which was actually like, I guess, like his girlfriend's
We
like
might need
uncle.
to come back for another episode about that.
Welcome back to your nerdy calendar. Now, two things. One, I'm going to point out that I do still stand 10 toes down that Naveen being willing to change the entirety of who he was, and that includes learning to mince and then making a whole mince pile for Tiana, means that he might not have been quite as willing to cheat as some might have suggested. But also, there's also a good chance that the 7-year itch might hit, or just the whole thing of, I'm not used to this and I need to go and like run and do something different to figure out who I am. That exists. I think that he's going to be more of the I'm excited to see what things happen kind of thing is. And beyond that, as a reminder, it is Black History Month, and I am wearing my very cool Wakandan Powerpuff Girls shirt, okay? So make sure that you are spending some time learning more about Black history, okay? Today and tomorrow and really all of February. But outside of that, we're going to make sure that you have a few things happening as well on your Marvel and DC Universe calendars, right? So we're going to shout out Sue Dearborn Dibney, right? The elongated man's wife, right? But we do absolutely put some respect on her name, okay? Now, she is an Aquarius and she has a February 6th birthday. So yay! Water Bearer team. Um, as an aside, the world's finest comics debuted as the world's best comics on February 10th in 1941. Does anybody know what World's Best Comics, aka World's Finest, turned into? I'm pretty sure that you can figure it out if you're a really good detective. Moving on from there, we would like to also shout out the fact that Alfred Pennyworth also came out on February 10th. He actually made his debut in 1943, first appearing in Batman number 16 in the April-May 1943 issue. Because, the release dates and the issue dates they're never quite the same. So if things seem weird, it's because, honestly, comic books have very weird dating schemas. Anyway, what does not have a weird dating schema, generally speaking, is the fact that Bill Finger, a well-known artist for DC, was actually born in 1914 on February 8th. So happy birthday to Bill Finger. Well, listeners, we have in fact, though, come to the end of our podcast. I know. How is this over? So good news. Our next episode is coming out next week, right? Yay! You're also, of course, more than welcome to listen to this episode again if that's not fast enough. Or you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/upyournerdcredpod. And, you can get things like solo scripts and behind-the-scenes footage. If you're interested, you don't have to, but it'd be nice. Anyway, Nerd Cred takes time to build. And it's okay if you don't have a fairy godmother, because none of the official Disney princes did. And look, all of their wives are princesses. I'm just saying. Anyway, now it's probably time to mention that we have an Instagram. We're on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We're working on expanding our reach. If you like the episode, of course, please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, all of the things that you get asked to do, especially if you're trying to up your nerd cred. You can follow the pod on Instagram or generally across platforms at Up Your Nerd Cred Pod. If you're looking for me across platforms, I'm at CIRACDABIS, Kira C. Davis. My co-host is at Diaz Art, and he loves the opportunity to be a pedant. So if you want to know something, hit him up, right? It's important. Please do. Anyway, our guests, Kevin, Shawney, and Ryan, can be found respectively at KGZSHAWNEYHOVOK and RYEORIO. All of these are, their Instagram handles. Or you could just VA all of that and go straight to the Solving for X Instagram at solvingforx.xmen. Those are the handles for our guests, who I'm pretty sure can say it much faster and easier than I can because it's their own. The important part is that if you have a burning question that you would like for us to discuss so that we can up your nerd cred, make sure you, again, like, subscribe, leave comments, and if we pick your question or comment, we'll shout you out in the discussion segment. And like I said, we've launched the Patreon, and you should definitely follow the link in the show notes to join it. And also, you should get your friends to like and subscribe to the podcast as well, and your family, and any of your coworkers you trust not to be weird about listening to the same podcast as you, and perhaps any sanitation workers digging you out of the snow. Good night, everyone.